Hiya, so today we're going to talk through a magic loop or a magic circle, and I'm using chunky yarn today, so I'm using a 6mm hook, but that will make nice big holes for you so that you'll be able to see where you need to put the crochet hook. And I'm using a key ring kind of ring pull as my stitch marker, because with chunky yarn some of my smaller stitch markers don't generally fit. So it's a really simple thing, the magic circle, once you know what to do. And the most difficult part is just working out where the yarn goes. So I hold my hand like this, fingers spread apart. I'm going around my little finger. I'm pulling the yarn, keeping it nice and loose, and pulling it as I go, up and over the top finger. Now most magic circles get you to wrap around this finger once or twice. I do a double magic circle because it means I can pull the circle very, very tight at the end. It's really great and handy for amigurumi crochet. But when you're just starting out, I worked out a new method. So I'm going to use these two fingers and go around both of them. Pull it tight as I go, and I kind of use my thumb to hold that down on my little finger. When you're using the one finger technique, it's really hard to get the hook underneath that thread there. But with two fingers, it just goes in that gap like that. It's really simple. Then you pull on that back thread there, yarn over, pull it through both, then you yarn over and pull up a loop. And so that's securing your magic circle there. Now I'm going to just hold that because this is where I want to put the stitch marker. This is another little tip I learned. If you put the stitch marker around the neck of the stitch there, as you pull that loop up, let's get that on, I'm trying to do this with one hand. Okay, there we go. If you put the stitch marker around the neck of the stitch there, when you go into the circle, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through two, that stitch marker ends up on your first stitch. Okay, now for most magic circles you're going to make 6 or 5 initial stitches in this magic circle, and if you're using UK terminology that would be a double crochet, or US terminology this would be a single crochet. So I'm going to go into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. There's my second stitch. Into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. There's my third stitch. Into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And the last, that's 4, so one more. Into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And the last one, into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So now if you count them, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches in that circle, and the stitch marker is marking off that first one. Now I can actually take my fingers out of that circle. It's nice and secure, it's not going anywhere, and I can pull on a tail. And when you pull on this tail, you will see one of these two threads moving. So do it very slowly to start with. Pull on that tail and you can see the back thread is the one that's moving in there. So I want to get that back thread and pull on the bottom of it, and this will pull the other thread tight. So I pull that as tight as I can get it. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to this tail thread and pull on that, and this will tighten that magic circle right up. So you've got a lovely tight magic circle there. And now you just need to go through that first stitch. So this is where I'll take the stitch marker out, but the stitch markers have the job of holding that stitch open for us. And then I can go into that stitch, get the tail out of the way for a second, pull up a loop, so yarn over and pull up a loop, pull that through, and then pull that through the loop that's on the hook. And there I've just done a slip stitch to close that off. So I've got this is my first stitch here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that's my slip stitch there. Okay, So normally in a magic circle we would do, on the next row, if we're increasing, we would do 2 stitches in every stitch. So I'm going to go yarn over into the next one. Okay, so I'll do that again. I'm going to go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to go yarn over and pull through 2. There's 1 stitch, back into the same hole, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. There's my 2 stitches. Oops. That's my second stitch. Okay, so I've got 2 stitches there. I'll make sure that the stitch marker goes back in there. As you can see, it's a little bit tricky to get it into the space, so it's actually much easier if I take those 2 stitches out. There's my loop on the hook. If I put my stitch marker around the neck of that stitch, boom, okay, pull it straight round the neck. When I make this stitch into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, the stitch marker ends up on the first stitch where it needs to be. Okay, another one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, there's my 2 stitches. I'm going to carry on doing that all the way around into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, there's 1,